wakes up, like he's being kidnapped, and he wakes up in a made-up town. This was a scary movie. It was like watching a scary movie. This is the only book that I felt scared while reading it in the last decade. I don't think anybody can guess the ending in this book or what really was happening. Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today I want to share with you a book haul. This is a combination of Goodwill and Target and I think a few pre-orders of some of the books that I already read, but I want to have in my collection. So I think this is going to be an interesting haul. Now, if you ever watch thriller or mysteries recommendation videos, you probably already seen this book over and over again, but I haven't read it, so I decided to pick it up. This is Shari Lapena's Everyone Here is Lying, and this tells the story of a family that lives in Stanhope, which is a safe neighborhood, a place where nothing happens ever. Now, William is a doctor and he's having an affair, and she ended the affair that afternoon. So instead of going back to work as his routine is, he goes back home to find his daughter. So he finds Avery. Avery has some kind of behavior problem and he loses his temper. Like, she's a really smarty and she has an answer for everything, and he's not gonna put up with that. So he does something that we don't know what it is, but eventually we know that Avery goes missing and he's the last person to see her. So is he gonna say, I was home because this happened to me and I was cheating on my wife? Did he do something to Avery? Well, I'm gonna spend the rest of the book trying to figure that out. Another book that I forgot to bring with me is Murder in the Family by Cara. I started also this book already because my brain works like that. I have to have multiple books going at the same time. It started with this show in the UK, and it's going to cover a very notorious case. And I've already started it. I'm kind of going through different things. So there are emails, text messages, newspaper articles. There's a bunch of other things, and I think that kind of helps read it faster. So I'll let you know how it goes with that one, but I did want to pick it up and I got it at Target too. The next book I got at Target, I also forgot it at home, but it's called The Last to Vanish. I think that's the name, and it's by Miranda. This one I don't remember, but I want to say that it takes place in North Carolina, and this is a camp that a lot of people that go hiking go to this particular spot to rest, and somebody goes missing. That's all I know, and that's all I need to know. I'm really interested in starting this book as well. But this next book I purchased because I need to have it in my collection. This is the only book that I felt scared while reading it in the last decade. Horror books do not scare me. If anything, they gross me out if they're trying to be scary. But this is the kind of horror that really haunts me at night. And that book is William by Coile. I'm telling you, this author, which is a pseudonym for Andrew Piper, which is an award winning author, because as soon as I read this book, I'm like, I need to read more books by this guy. His brain works like my brain, so we kind of brain twins at this point. This is the kind of thing that I want in a scary movie, and this was a scary movie. It was like watching a scary movie. This follows the story of a couple that they're both engineers. She's pregnant, they're struggling, and he is very invested in his work. And he is developing this AI robot thing that develops its own consciousness. Pretty much that's all you need to know. But if I have to give you the vibes of this book, in the beginning it reminded me of Chucky. If you are a 80s kid maybe that were watching scary movie in the 90s, you probably know what I'm talking about when I'm referring to Chucky. It also kind of gave me Final Destination vibes because of what was happening, like everything out of your control. I mean, this book I love it. I just needed it in my collection. I'm looking at it here at the library. We do have it available, and my gosh, I hope that more people can put aside the AI, that maybe it's not a trope that a lot of people like, and just read it, because it's not so much about the AI, but the it seems like the path that a lot of people is very afraid that AI will take. So that's all I'm gonna say. But again, it's not revolving AI, it's more about what happens because of it, where it really triggered my fears. The next book is The Last One at the Wedding by Jason Rekulak. Now this is a thriller. I think that's how it's marketed, as a thriller, and I pre-ordered it. I do have the audiobook from Libro FM, and I'm still listening to it. My plan is to finish it today. All I want to say is that it revolves about, and again, maybe the synopsis is not something that will intrigue you. It didn't really intrigue me in the beginning. It's about a father and a daughter, and he gets a call from his daughter after not talking to each other for a really long time, and she's inviting him to go to her wedding that is happening soon. He's very happy because she put aside everything, you know, their differences, which we don't know what they are, and she decided to invite him. She is marrying this very rich man. Well, his dad is rich, and she works for this company, and the father-in-law, her future father-in-law, is the owner, and she's a really smart girl. I mean, she can hold her own, but she's marrying into this empire, and there's a lot of secrets and a lot of things that we're gonna learn throughout this book. I'm gonna have a reading vlog on this. I'm still working on it, so it's probably going to come out by the end of the week. The next one is another one that I raved about, and this is kind of a ridiculous twist in the end, like unexpected. I would have never guessed it. I don't think anybody can guess the ending in this book or what really was happening. And this is You Better Watch Out by James S. Murray. I have the audiobook. I also got it through Libro FM, so thank you for Libro FM and the publisher and the authors for providing me with that, so I could not only order it for the library but talk to you about this book. Now let me explain. This book, I already have a review, so I'm not going to go in depth on what is happening. But the premise of this is that there's this guy that is going through this town. He's on his way somewhere else, stops at this one market gas station, not sure what it is, and he meets a couple of older people that need help putting groceries in their van. One of them is in a wheelchair, so he, instead of thinking I'm gonna give them a hand, this guy is thinking about doing something to these people. But everything changes when he wakes up, like he's being kidnapped, and he wakes up in a made-up town. This is just a made-up town, and it's like an exact replica of a town that he's been in before. He wakes up, he is not hurt. I mean, he's hurting because of, people injecting him stuff and everything to move him there, but he wakes up in the middle of a blizzard in this abandoned town that is a made-up town, and he is trying to figure out what he's supposed to do there and who put him there. What is this place? And we are going to spend the rest of the book following him and other people that were just dropped in this town, and we just have to figure out what really is happening there and why are they there and how they can escape. This is more of a stay alive kind of thriller. This I do consider a true thriller. You are at the edge of your seat trying to figure out who these people are. It also kind of reminded me of The Walking Dead, as you can, if you watch that show, you probably know that in the beginning, when I was invested, it was more about trying to survive and also a little bit of the story of each one of them and how they got where they were. The twist at the end is ridiculous, but I love it. I think it's amazing. The next book is one I got from Goodwill, and all you have to know is if I find a book of the month in Goodwill, I will pick it up no matter the genre that it is. I feel like book of the month is a good tool. Like, I did an entire video of why I keep my book of the month even though I haven't gotten a 5-star book for my particular taste. So if you want to check out that video, it will be on the top of the screen. But if I find a book of the month book, and I found quite a few at Goodwill a few days ago, then I will pick it up, because I do believe that they have a team of people that research enough and read enough books to tell me what likely will be something popular for most people, which is what I need to know in order to order books for the library or try books for myself. And when I saw this, I don't think I've ever heard of this book. This is a February 2021 book of the month, and I wasn't subscribed to it back then. But the title is Girl A by Abigail Dean. So this is a story of Lex. Lex is the eldest sibling, and somehow she was able to break free from a very abusive or very dysfunctional, but borderline abuse kind of family. Like, I haven't started this book, so I don't know. That's what I gather from the synopsis. So this is described as a house of horrors, and the mom ended up in jail. The dad, who knows where he is, but eventually the mom dies in jail and she inherits the house, the family home. Now, I don't know if there's something haunted in this house or what it is that it's happening here, but the siblings get together, they move back into the house, or at least 2 sisters move into the house, and they start to unravel a lot of things. And there's a lot of secrets, a lot of dynamics, a lot of secrets among siblings, and it seems like it's a psychological thriller, but more on the domestic side, which is not something I really enjoy. But as I said, if it's a book of the month pick, I try to read them and have an opinion of my own. One is another Goodwill find, even though I removed the sticker. This is Things We Do in the Dark by Jennifer Hilliard. Now, I already started this book. I was very curious about her writing. Jar of Hearts is one of those books that everyone raves about, and I never gotten around to read it. Now, this is a story where, well, let me begin from the first scene. This is a girl that is found in the bathroom. She is full of blood. Her husband is in the tub, dead, and she is holding what could be the murder weapon. When the police ask her to drop the weapon, she doesn't. She's kind of in shock, but we also learn from the beginning that when they ask her, "Did you kill him?" she says, "I don't remember." And so that's where the story begins. It's a little bit of it's not a police procedural. Like, you don't get the perspective of the detectives. It's mostly on her perspective. It seems like she's an unreliable narrator. It could be something different that surprises me at the end. But we are gonna spend some time with her in jail, her lawyer, and what's happening, and all the proof that ends up popping here and there that we don't know from the beginning. So it's very interesting. I do have the audiobook from Libby, so I will report back to you probably at the end of the month. The next one is another Goodwill find, and again, all my Goodwill finds, if they're hardcover, they're $3.99, and if they are paperback, they're $2.99. And sometimes they have, like, I think last time it was blue, so every blue sticker is 50 or 75% off. So even better. But this is The Only Survivors by Miranda. I don't know why I never wanted to read one of Miranda's books. I guess I was influenced by somebody who doesn't like her writing, but that's not a good enough reason for me anyway to just continue to avoid it. And when I saw that this was another book of the month pick, I decided to pick it up. Now, this book covers a tragedy, an accident that happened to some seniors in high school, and 9 of them survive. They kind of scatter, move on to with their lives and their stuff, and eventually one of them, well, they kept in touch. They still kept in touch. They had some kind of group chat and something, and eventually one of them completely disappears. She was nothing to do with the group and she's not willing to meet with them once again, and that's where the book begins. But I've read some reviews that says that this is a meh thriller. I do like the premise. I think it could go somewhere really interesting. And I do have another book that a lot of people said that it was meh. I think it was by Shari Lapena, and I'll talk about that book in another video. But I really did enjoy it. So I was like, well, I might as well give a try to this one because the premise sounds very interesting. Now, the next book is another Book of the Month book from Goodwill. And this is Like a Sister by Kellye Garret. Now, this is the story of Desiree. Well, actually, it opens with Desiree. She's found dead near a playground in New York. Now, everyone immediately thinks that it's just an overdose, that she was a party girl and she overdosed and died, which you would think that'd be easier to prove. But her sister, or well, her half-sister, Lena, knows that that's not the case. And there's a little hint here, but Lena is a graduate student at Columbia. She really is having a very successful life that she forged for herself. She's very trustworthy. She's really smart. So she's investigating because she knows that her sister would never travel above 125th Street. So why is no one listening to Lena? Now, this might be a reference to something that is very well known from that street or New York, or maybe this is a reference to something else, but I don't get it. So I'm intrigued to know, why wouldn't she? I mean, if that's a regular street, why wouldn't she do that? But apparently that's the reason why her half-sister, even though they were estranged from each other, because Desiree was partying, having a great time, doing all the girly, crazy, wild stuff. The other one was studying, doing everything as, good as she could. And now she still believes that her sister would have done that and that she did not overdose and this is a murder. So I'm interested. This was the April of 2022 Book of the Month pick. Now, this is another one that I'm going to make another video because I can't believe I bought another book by Ruth Ware. This is The Death of Mrs. Westaway. This is a book that I saw featured in Lexi. I can't remember the name though. Books with Lexi. I'll put the name on the screen. But she recently read it and she thought it was really good. So I am all for a good haunted house book. However, I am very picky with my haunted houses, or is it possibly a haunted house? And I'll tell you why I keep buying Ruth Ware's book and I haven't read one of them. Now, the funny thing about this is I bought it. There's no synopsis. So I'm just going by what she's saying. It's good. The next one is another Book of the Month book, and this is March of 2021, and it's called Too Good to Be True by Carola Lovering. This is a book that is really interesting and it has a super long synopsis, so I'm going to try to sum it up for you. So in this book, we're going to follow Sky Starling, which is in love with her boyfriend Burke Michaels, and he proposes to her and she is over the moon with this wedding planning situation, but she is struggling internally because she had her mom died when she was very young. I think she was 11, and she has OCD, and so there are just things in her inside that are really struggling, even though this should be the happiest time of her life. Now, Burke is older, he's handsome, he's emotionally mature, he's everything that she wants to be, and so she is in love with him. But what we will find out is that he's married and he has another family, and he is actually using her because she's very successful financially for his own good. Now, we also have a third perspective, and I still don't get this perspective, but it's basically set 30 years earlier, where we're going to follow Heather, who is determined to end things with Burke, a local bad boy, and make a better life for herself in New York City. So is this Heather? Is this the wife? And she couldn't escape him? I don't know, but this sounds really interesting. Even though, again, this sounds like a domestic thriller, I am kind of invested, so I'll definitely be reading this sometime soon. The next book, I got it because I love Amor Towles. This is a gentleman in Moscow. His books are long and they're character driven. They are sometimes coming of age. They are historical. They have a lot of things where I just don't care for. But when I open a book and I start reading, if this was a thriller and it started like this, I would not care for it. And for whatever reason, when I read the first page of any of his books, I'm just hooked. And this starts with some kind of court document, and I'm reading this court document and I'm hooked, and I'm like, it's his writing. I don't know what it is, but he starts and finishes every book in a way that keeps me hooked. This is 500 pages if I'm not mistaken, and I've read a 500-page romantasy, so I think I can do this for sure if I could finish a romantasy. If you haven't watched that video, I'll have a link on the top of the screen. But this is one of those books that I really want to get to, but it's not a priority right now. I'm just happy that I found it. It looks brand new. I got it for $3.99. It's something that I really want to have in my collection, and I'll be happy to read it.